Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. Today's video is going to be, will I buy it? This is definitely a new series on my channel. I do anti-hauls a lot, but I don't really talk about individual products. If I will buy it, the pros and cons, and kind of my thought process before I invest my money in a product. So I thought that this would be really good to kind of start off with a big launch that's going to be happening on the 21st of June, I believe, and it was just announced. It was the new Jaclyn Hill palette. So I do have a few things that I want to kind of go over with you, pros and cons, as well as your thoughts. I definitely want to hear about if you're going to buy it. I want to have a discussion in the comments below and really get your feedback, really understand where you guys are coming from and how you feel about this new palette that's coming out. So if you want to see if I'm going to buy it, just keep on watching. So starting off, why don't we just talk a little bit about the backstory behind this palette and a little bit about Jaclyn Hill herself. I do have quite a bit of her products that she has collaborated on with other companies, Becca, Morphe, and a couple other things that she has put out that I have picked up because of the name and the hype behind them. So this one I'm definitely thinking about a little bit more and being a more informed consumer, especially because so much makeup being flooded by the market. You want to get the best bang for your buck and you really want a high quality products. So obviously thinking about what you're buying is definitely going to benefit you and your makeup collection in the long run, because you're actually going to get a good formula eyeshadow palette that's going to be something you're going to use all the time. So this particular palette was created by Jaclyn Hill. She did formulate all of the shadows that are going to be in this palette. I believe there are 35 shadows, as well as reformulating some of the colors so that not only are there colors we've never seen before, as well as new formulations so they're creamier, more buttery, and definitely all around better quality. So that is the claim to fame on this palette. This was produced by Morphe in collaboration with Jaclyn Hill for her subscribers. This is something that she is putting out for her subscribers, for her fan following, for the fangirls and the fanboys out there. This was dedicated to you. An all around really nice looking palette. I will go ahead and put it right here so that you can see it. Pictures have been released of this particular palette. It does look very warm toned. There is some splashes of color of green, teal, and some blue colors on the very bottom, as well as some darker shades for the outer crease and some shimmer shades that are going to be able to be packed on the lid or inner corner and brow bone highlights. There are warm transition tones, some more cranberry looking tones, things that we have seen before, but I can't speak to the formulation just yet because it has not been released yet. If we are sitting here and comparing to the previous Morphe palette that she has produced, and this was from 2015, I do have it here so that you can take a look at it, and I will put them side by side for you. This one does have some similarities as well as some differences to the new one from the old one. Definitely has the pop of green, has the purples and the cranberry colors, and does have the warm transition shades, the light matte colors, and the brow bone highlights and everything else. I believe this is 28 eyeshadows, and this is the formulation that Morphe had originally put out, and she just picked the colors that she liked. This palette that she's putting out now is a brand new formulation and everything, so supposedly it's supposed to be much better. It's supposed to have better butteriness to it. It's supposed to blend out really nicely, and they're supposed to have a ton of pigmentation. The pros on this palette, they do have a little bit more differences than the original if you do have that in your collection. If not, this one is really great because it does have the warm tones. It's got the transitions, the brow bone and the inner corner highlight, the little pops of color here and there. It is an all-around, very cohesive looking palette that you can make a lot of different looks from. On the con side, this does retail for $38, and that is a very high price point for a Morphe palette. The packaging is very different from what we've seen from Morphe before. It is not the classic black packaging. It is a nice, more sleek white and silver packaging, which she is known for. That is a pro, but you do not get a mirror, which is a con. And being at the price point that it is, you would assume that you would get a nice full mirror. Another con is not only about the shipping, but it is also about customs if you do not live within the United States. because the shipping is free over $100, you feel the pressure to actually buy more from Morphe than you normally would if you were not paying for a palette. You can use the coupon code for 10 to 15% depending on what promo they're running, but I think it's all the time that you can get 10% off using one of the discount codes from one of the beauty gurus. So unfortunately, price-wise, depending on where you're living, could be a con for you, just because you are paying for customs, you are paying for shipping, and you are paying for the palette. And unfortunately, because it is a higher price point, you're going to be shelling out probably twice as much as it would have been if you were buying like a 35.0 from Morphe, or if you're buying another palette from them. The only other thing that I can think of that really kind of throws me off with this whole thing is the fact that she did a video about, I want to say 6 months ago, maybe even longer than that, talking about her favorite Makeup Geek shadows. If you look at the palette that she's holding, it is a customized palette with all her Makeup Geek shadows. This particular palette looks identical, if not very, very, very similar to the palette that she created with Morphe. A lot of the same similar tones, a lot of the same similar pops of color, transition shades, everything looks very, very identical. Obviously, there are some interchanged and a little bit different, but they look very similar to the Z palette that she showed in that particular video. I will link that video down below for you, and I will show you a picture of what I'm talking about. Because of that video, it does kind of talk to or speak to the person that she is. She does like a lot of warm tones. She does like a lot of the pops of color, and they're not really intertwined more than just maybe here or there kind of trickled in, but more of the warm side or the warm tones. Obviously, she's not really into cool tones all that much, and obviously her palette kind of reflects that. If you do have the shadows from Makeup Geek and you've seen this video previously, most likely you probably do not need this particular palette. There has been a lot of backlash over the launch date, the picture of the cake that was released by Trend Mood and someone else, and all of that drama that's been going on with this particular palette and this launch. I don't do drama. I'm not a drama channel. I don't dip my toe in that. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of similarities across the board with the old palette being from Morphe, the original one, the Makeup Geek video, as well as this new palette. So there are a lot of similarities across the board, and honestly, if you have any of these previous to this actual palette coming out, you probably don't need these. That is most of the reasoning why I will not be going forward and purchasing this, just because I feel like I do have everything that I do need in my collection that is warm tone. I do have my single shadows from ColourPop, and a lot of those are warm tone as well. Not to say that the quality is not good, because I do not know. She did say somewhere, I believe it was Instagram, that she was messaging someone else or replying back to a comment stating on her palette that the formulation of these shadows is different from the actual original Morphe shadow formulation. So my only concern is, if that's the case, why are Morphe shadows not using that new formula? If you think it's the latest and greatest, they would make sure that the other palettes have the same formulation that are going to give you less patchiness and more pigmentation. I think weighing the pros and cons and everything that's going into this palette, the release date, the launch, the leak, the similarities between other palettes that she's shown, and all of the drama with Morphe and the quality of them, I don't think $38 is a reasonable price for this palette, just for the pure fact that there is no mirror. The shipping cost is outrageous. The customs cost, I'm sure, is outrageous. And I'm not sure myself if I would buy another palette that I already know I have, because of all of the single shadows that I own, because it's in my collection. If you're new to makeup and you do not have any warm tones or no single shadows, or you're just starting off and you're kind of just building a small collection and you want something you can use every day, this palette probably is going to be very good for you, because it does have all those warm tones, because it does have those pops of color, because it does seem to be more cohesive for every different eye look you can imagine. The only problem with my particular collection, because I do what I do and because I'm on here and I'm testing products all the time, I don't find myself looking to more palettes and more palettes and more palettes, just because I find that a lot of similarities go through different brands all the time. It's really hard to customize a brand new palette, you know, blow everybody out of the water with something brand new, because it's probably been done or combined with something else. Meaning that you could probably find all these colors in different palettes or with single shadows, which you can almost say about any palette that's out there. The only thing that really intrigues me, and the only reason why I would purchase it in the first place, is after everybody gets theirs, I really want to see what the formulation's like. Then maybe I will purchase it and do a review. That is the one thing that I'm really interested in, is the formulation more than I am about the colors themselves. I really want to see how buttery those mattes are. I really want to see the pigmentation for the shimmers. I want to see if they're really foiled or if they're a little bit more on the satin side. I just really want to see what you guys think about this palette when you guys get yours, and then maybe I will purchase it just because, or if it's sold out, I mean, I'm kind of out of luck, but if it is still available, then I would go ahead and purchase it just so I could do a review on it and kind of see. And I've used some really amazing shadows in my time. Obviously I have Natasha Denona in my collection. I have the Anastasia Makeup, or the Master Palette by Mario, which is flippin' fantastic, and Makeup Geek. I do have an Anastasia Beverly Hills. My ColourPop shadows are fantastic. I find that the colors across the board are very, very similar no matter what brand you're buying from. So I don't think I will purchase this, just for the pure fact that I do have something very similar in my collection, and the fact that the only reason why I would purchase it is the formulation. I hope this was helpful on your shopping journey. Please let me know if you intend on buying this palette. Go ahead and put it in the comments below. Please start a conversation and a thread in the comments below, because I always am very active in my comment section, as well as I'd love to hear your feedback. If you guys see something differently than I do, that is okay. As long as we are having a debate and we are not fighting or calling each other names in the comments below, I am all about having different opinions, because I don't see things like you guys see things. If you guys see something different that I don't see, please, please, please let me know, because I'm all about feedback. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell for notifications of upcoming videos, and go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.